Finish the fight. Those words echoed the last ones we heard from Master Chief before Halo 2 just ended. No epic finale, no last stand. Just Chief flying through space like a one-man army, promising to wrap things up, and then boom, credits. It was the biggest mic drop in gaming at the time, and we were left staring at the screen thinking, wait, that's it? But honestly, none of us even had time to be that mad, because Halo in 2004, it was everything. You'd get home from school, hop on Xbox Live or have friends over, and suddenly it was 3 AM. One match turned into 10, and before you knew it, your character was being teabagged while someone screamed noob into a $20 headset. The battle rifle was king, the warthog was sacred, and everyone knew at least one guy who swore he could snipe you from across the map every time. This was peak Halo, a golden age of Mountain Dew, Dorito-covered fingered fueled multiplayer, and late night co-op runs where nobody knew what they were doing, but it didn't matter, because whether you were getting wrecked on lockout or just vibing to that epic monk chant on the main menu, Halo was gaming at the time. So when Marvel announced the Halo graphic novel, people were hyped. We thought it would be a teaser for Halo 3, some sweet Chief action, a few hints about how we'd finish the fight. But no, that's not what we got. Instead of the Chief wrecking shop, we got something else. It was a collection of 4 short stories, no Chief in sight, besides a cameo in the first story. It was these weird, intense, quiet little tales about the world around the war. It was brutal, it was tragic, and it was nothing like what we expected. The Halo graphic novel wasn't here to just build hype. It was here to shift perspective, to say, hey, before you run back into battle and teabag your friend, maybe stop and look around, and think about how this world got to where we are. So come back in time with me as we check out the Halo graphic novel, a brutal, beautiful, and sadly, nearly forgotten book. Before we jump in, just a quick reminder to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on daily shorts and longer deep dives like this one. The Halo graphic novel isn't one big saga about Master Chief mowing down Covenant by the thousands. Like I mentioned, it's something way more interesting. It's 4 totally different stories, each one peeling back a layer of the Halo universe you didn't even know you needed. They're weird, they're bold, some are quiet while others go full on nightmare fuel, but every single one hits different. And when you stack them all together, you don't just get more Halo lore, you get a whole new vibe. These stories aren't about raking up kills or getting that perfect sticky grenade. They're about what's left behind, the mess and the cost brought on the world. It's Halo from the edges, the stuff you'd only see if you stepped away from the warthog and listened for a second. So if you're expecting a warm-up, forget it. This story dives straight into the deep end. The last voyage of the Infinite Succor by Lee Hammock and Simon Bisley is dark, intense, and sets the tone fast. It's also the most classic Halo in terms of setup. A military op, alien tech, and something seriously wrong lurking in the shadows. Set during the events of Halo Combat Evolved, the story follows Special Operations Commander Ortas Verdum, who fans will later know as Halfjaw, as he's sent to investigate a Covenant agricultural support ship that's suddenly gone dark. It could be a human raid, it could be a systems failure, but in reality, it's much worse. The ship has been completely overrun by the Flood. What follows is pure survival horror. Ortas and his team, elites and grunts, are forced into close quarters combat against an enemy that adapts, spreads, and turns your own soldiers against you. His squad takes heavy losses, and some come back, just not in the way anyone wants. And Ortas himself loses part of his jaw in the fight, a wound that will end up defining his character both visually and symbolically. And the worst part? The mission wasn't to save the ship itself, but to rescue a prophet who knew what the Flood threat was and didn't send word to the team, and who sees them as being fully expendable when compared to his own safety. And this pisses Ortas off. It's a moment that shatters something inside him. He makes a decision, not out of loyalty, but clarity. He decides to try to make it to the engineering room instead of escorting the prophet himself. He makes it and sends the Succor into the system's sun, sacrificing the ship and destroying the flood on board, but he ends up being the lone survivor of the operation. At its core, this story's about loyalty breaking down under the weight of truth. Ortas's dramatic outburst where he attacks a prophet out of frustration and anger is a big moment. He sees the cracks in the Covenant, and that realization starts him down the path that will define who he becomes in Halo 2 and 3. And visually, this story is on a completely different wavelength to the others in this book. Simon Bisley's art leans hard into body horror. The clean edges and symmetry of Halo's world are gone, replaced by warped corridors, twisted forms, and sickly purples and greens. The Flood feel unpredictable and alive. You don't just see the infection, you feel it pressing in from every panel. It's chaotic, it's unnerving, and it's perfect for a story that isn't about winning. It's about surviving something you weren't supposed to walk away from. More than anything, Infinite Succor reminds us that even the Covenant aren't a monolith, that behind the armor and orders, there are soldiers with doubts, fears, and choices to make. It reframes Ortas not as a villain, but as someone beginning to question everything he's been told. And with that, the book makes its statement. This isn't just another Halo tie-in, this is something different. After the horror and chaos of Infinite Succor, the book shifts into something much quieter. Armor testing, written by Jay Faber, with art by Ed Lee and Andrew Robinson, is cold, focused, and almost entirely stripped of emotion. And that's kind of the point. This one follows Maria 062, a retired Spartan 2 brought back for one job only, to test the new Mjolnir Mark 6 armor before it's handed off to John 117, Master Chief himself. That's it. No combat mission, no Covenant. Just a live simulation run against a squad of UNSC Marines, observed remotely by ONI personnel who are never named and never seen outside a control room. Maria moves through a controlled urban environment, disables the Marine squad, and completes the mission with efficiency and precision. The story never gives us internal monologues or a dramatic flashback. Everything we learn comes from what we're shown, and what we already know about Spartans. She's not here to prove herself, she's not here for redemption, she's just doing what needs to be done. There's a quiet tension in how impersonal the whole thing feels. The ONI observers speak only in dry commentary, reviewing telemetry and confirming that the suit's performance data checks out. They're focused on the armor, not the person inside it. Maria might as well be a testing platform. And when the simulation ends, she steps out of the armor and tells them she won't be reactivated. There's no argument, no pushback. She simply declines, leaves the room, and that's it. Not some grand finale, it's just a final contribution from someone who already gave everything. Visually, the story tries something different, sometimes to its benefit, sometimes not. The action scenes are clean and clinical, with sharp line work and simple layouts, but some panels use pre-rendered computer-generated backgrounds pulled from the game engine, and those stick out in a way that's hard to ignore. They clash with the otherwise hand-drawn aesthetic, and it breaks some of the story's visual consistency. It's the only place in the book where the art feels more like a tech demo than a comic. Still, that fits the story's tone. Armor testing isn't about emotion or spectacle, it's about systems, control, and the machine behind the war. And Maria, quiet, capable, and already halfway out the door, is the perfect character to carry the weight without ever needing to say much. It's a story about moving forward and about knowing when to stop. And now, we hit the most intense 5 minutes you'll ever spend flipping through comic pages. Breaking Quarantine rips out the pause button. No dialogue, no narration, and no backstory. Just pure survival instincts and Sergeant Avery Johnson refusing to go out the way everyone expected. This acts as a missing piece of the events of Halo Combat Evolved, set during the events of the 343 Guilty Spark level. In the game, Chief finds the Flood containment site already in chaos, and Johnson seemingly gone, but this comic shows exactly how he escaped. We open on Johnson trapped in a flood-filled facility. Infected creatures latch onto fellow Marines. Johnson fights back, opening fire as he witnesses the horrors of the flood and breaks away from the chaos that's hungry for him. There's no setup. Unless you've seen the cutscene this is following on from, it's just him, the flood, and one brutal fight to live. Tsutomu Nie, renowned for works like Blame, perfectly captures a world that feels hostile even to itself. The Flood aren't just enemies, they're the disgusting, distorted corpses of Johnson's fallen men. Johnson appears as a lone figure, exhausted, determined, and human, in a space that feels unrecognizably alien. Every panel works at breakneck speed. One moment he's firing at an infected flood, spilling its guts open, and the next he's sprinting across a light bridge, shooting flood mid-air as he tries to clear a path. It's desperate, raw, and unrelenting. And with the final grenade toss, Johnson makes his way out of the facility, showing what a true badass he is. There's no comeback speech, no heroic choir, just a soldier who survived hell when no one else could. Breaking quarantine doesn't tell us how Johnson escaped the flood. It shows us. Every panel is pure chaos and panic. With no dialogue or narration, it's just raw visual storytelling. You feel every footstep, every gunshot, every desperate breath as he fights his way out. No words are needed. It's bold, brutal, and it absolutely rules. But now, let's bring it home, with a story that is completely different in its tone and storytelling. You think you've seen Halo from every angle? Then meet the real heart of the Halo graphic novel, Second Sunrise over New Mombasa, written by Brett Lewis with art from the legend Mobius. It's a story that doesn't follow Spartans, elites, or the Flood. Instead, it's a quiet dive into the city beneath it all. It's the year 2552, and we follow a reporter who edits images and footage for UNSC propaganda. He's good at his job, but he hates it, as he's basically helping lie to the public about how bad things are going in the war. But during a normal trip into the city, his life is turned upside down when the sky turns into a fireworks show of destruction as the war comes to his home. Covenant warships appear, the city erupts in chaos, and his train is hit and derailed. The reporter wakes up in a hospital, surrounded by chaos. There are no heroes here, just civilian panic and loss. He leaves the hospital, and during the chaos of the attack, he manages to record something important. An elite's message about securing something called the Ark. He realizes it's too important to lose, so he races through blood-soaked streets, pushing through families who are desperate to flee on a boat. But he stops short of getting on one when he spots a lone child crying. He ultimately gives up his seat on the next boat out and hands over the tape to the terrified child in the hopes the message gets out. And that's it. There's no Master Chief, no Spartan drama, just quiet urgency and someone doing what they can with whatever they have. Visually, this story stands out. It is Mobius after all. Instead of technical Halo forms, you get painterly architecture, widely colored explosions, and characters rendered in soft pastels and warm colors. It twitches in the frame between dreamy calm and utter collapse. The panels wobble, buildings lean like they're half melted, and you can practically feel the city's last gasp. There's no neat ending either. The reporter stands on the dock with the backdrop of ore behind him, unsure will his message get to the right hands. This story doesn't try to pump you full of energy, it sets the mood for what most Halo stories don't show. The price paid by people who just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Looking back on the Halo graphic novel, what stands out most is how different it dared to be. No linear storyline with the Chief, no Spartans front and center in every story, just 4 slices of a universe that in 2006 felt bigger than anything else in gaming. And yeah, if we're being honest, the story that will probably hit hardest for most fans is that first one, the last voyage of the Infinite Succor. It's the longest and the most traditional Halo of the bunch. It's got the Covenant, the Flood, the horror and action, all the stuff we came to expect. It feels like a lost mission or cutscene you could have played or seen in the middle of a Halo game, and that makes it stick. But Second Sunrise over New Mombasa, that one lingers too. It's surprisingly thoughtful. It reminds you that while the Spartans were out saving the world, everyone else was just trying to live through it. Or at least make sure the truth got out before everything burnt down. And there is no way I can't say how amazing the artwork is in the intense breaking quarantine, which shows us just how Johnson survived to help finish the fight. And speaking of which, we all did finish the fight. Halo 3 arrived in 2007. The hype was off the charts. Midnight launches, Mountain Dew game fuel, friends screaming into Xbox Live headsets. It was everything we dreamed of. And we got closure. Well, kind of. As we weren't as done with the fight as we thought we'd be, because Halo kept going. We got Reach, which broke our hearts. We got Halo 4 and 5, which tried to recapture the magic, but failed. We got a handful of new comics and novels that expanded the lore. And then we got an awful TV show that somehow managed to make Master Chief take off his helmet and his pants in record time. Even Halo Infinite, which I'll admit had a fantastic campaign, couldn't really bring me fully back. I finished the story and loved parts of it, but I didn't really touch the multiplayer, and I used to live in the multiplayer with friends. I think what happened is Halo grew up with us. The games got more serious, the universe got more complicated. The excitement we had in the 2000s, the forum debates, the LAN parties, and the arguments, none of it ever came back quite the same way. We changed, and so did Halo. The Halo graphic novel came out at the exact right time. We were between battles, waiting for the Chief to return, and this strange little book dropped into our laps and said, hey, there's more to this universe than just shooting stuff with the Chief. And we listened, because by then, we weren't just chasing bigger guns or louder explosions. We were looking for meaning, for perspective, for something that reminded us why this universe mattered. And that's what the Halo graphic novel gave us. Brutal in its pace, beautiful in its focus. It pulled us out of the hype and into the margins, showing us a universe not just fought for, but endured. But as Halo marched on, through sequels, spin-offs, and live-action stumbles, this book quietly slipped from view. It didn't demand attention, it wasn't part of the main storyline, and over time, it became one of the first pieces of Halo to fade. Not erased, just overlooked. The fight never truly ends, but sometimes it's the smaller stories, the ones just off to the side, that fade first. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed this look at the Halo graphic novel, and you let me know all about your memories of this book and the Halo series in general in the comments. Be sure to leave a like on the video if you were into it, and subscribe too, and check out some of the other deep dive videos I've done which are on screen now. And remember, whether it's a single issue or a trade, there is always another page to turn. So keep reading, and I'll see you next time.